On January 7, 2015, two Islamist gunmen burst into the offices of French satire weekly Charlie Hebdo and shot 12 people dead. The attackers, Saïd and Sherif Kouachi, were killed in a standoff with police 2 days later after a massive manhunt. The shooting left France reeling and brought 1.5 million people out onto the streets to defend freedom of speech, the biggest public gathering in France since the liberation of Paris from the Nazis in 1944. That spirit of solidarity and defiance has now given way to an edgy nervousness, as a series of terrorist attacks across France have since killed more than 200 people. 2017, finally the end of the tunnel, says Charlie's anniversary cover, showing someone staring down the barrel of a gun.
Charlie Hebdo was the beginning, but then it sadly went on. If it is the end of the tunnel, fine. But I am not that optimistic. I think this will go on for quite a long time.
It weighs on you. It'll be remembered for a long time. Now, the commemorations, it's just for show. They have short-term political goals. So it's not something that I'd really pay attention to.
The mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, and Interior Minister Bruno Le Roux left flowers for the victims at the site of Charlie Hebdo's old offices on Thursday. But politicians are increasingly under fire for their handling of France's security. The country has been under a state of emergency since ISIL members killed 130 people in a series of attacks in Paris in November 2015. That gives police enhanced powers that critics say are being used to restrict civil liberties while failing to prevent terrorism.
We have, for example, the prohibition of public meetings, the prohibition of various university events, etc. And this, plays into the hands of the very same terrorists we are supposed to fight, because according to what they say in their online publications, they are doing this to kill people, to, of course, endanger democracy and the rule of law in the West. And that's exactly what's happening today in France.
This hardline security policy is associated above all with Manuel Valls, who resigned as Prime Minister in November to run for the presidency. Valls has staked his political career on a promise to keep France safe, but his stance has alienated many on the left. He faces a primary vote for the ruling Socialist Party's nomination at the end of January, with polls showing the government is so unpopular that whoever the PS candidate, they are likely to be knocked out in the first round of April's election.
Repeatedly shaken by terrorist attacks over the last 2 years, the French now have security uppermost in their minds as they prepare to elect a new president. Less than a third of voters say they trust the current government to keep them safe. Elena, Casas, CGTN, Paris.